Hey guys, welcome back to our channel,
Plots with a Twist,
where we discuss books,
amongst other things. And
we're back. TBR and wrap up for you guys.
We back.
Right on time.
Right. Ooh, are we right on time? Yes.
I think so.
And it's spooky month, so we got our
spooky cup. Oh wait, not month.
Right, our spooky month cups and whatnot. So yes, so we are getting into the books. We read a ton, so get ready. Or she read a ton. She keep bragging. She been bragging. Y'all, she been bragging for the last few months,
really,
hasn't she?
Like reading and getting my back. So I'm excited about it.
Well, let's get into it. All right, for September, I only read.
I didn't read that much for September either.
So how you bragging?
Because I still read.
Okay, so well, you start.
Okay.
I got 3.5.
3.5. Okay. Well, I'll start. Okay, since we already talked about this one in length in past videos. So, first one that I finished up for the month of September was Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. This was a suggestion from Kristen, which she told me to read. And it took me forever to get, so obviously the people were reading it because it just took forever for me to get on my Libby app. And if you guys remember, it's about a family who, I didn't read it. It is about a family who the mother passes away, and then she leaves a recording for her son and daughter, and they basically discover some family secrets and the past about their parents that they had no idea about, and it kind of goes from there and in depth into their family and how they deal with all this new information about their family history and where they're really from and how their parents came to be together. So it was great. I really enjoyed it. I think I would give it a 4 stars. I didn't rate it, so I was but it was good. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed the writing. I also thought it was a different take because did they actually say what island they were from, or they kind of kept it ambiguous? So yeah, I thought that was kind of neat because you obviously knew they were from some type of Caribbean island or background, but it wasn't actually stated where they were from. So I thought that was kind of neat. And then the whole tradition surrounding the black cake and how it kind of ties into their family history, I thought that was a cool thing in the plot. So yeah, I liked it. I feel like we talked about the book before, so Kristen did, obviously. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. If you guys want a review, did we review it already?
No,
I forgot. God, I haven't read it so much.
Okay.
I don't know. But so if you guys want a review on that, let us know because I think we both really enjoyed it enough to talk about it.
All right. See? Mm-hmm. Good suggestion.
It was. Yep. It was a good suggestion.
Told you. Okay, so a book I read for September is Iona's Iverson's Rules for Commuting. So this was a book I just saw on recommended for me. I did see it pop up here and there. And I was just interested because I can't remember what book I read and why I recommended it, but whatever book that was, I enjoyed it. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I completely thought this was something different than what it was. But this story focuses on Iona Iverson. She is kind of like a creature of habit. She rides the train, commutes to work every day. And she's a magazine advice therapist, kind of, sort of. Takes a lot of pride in her job, wears really colorful suit, just a really kind of colorful character overall. And she takes her little French bulldog to work with her every day. She's just one of those people that people just notice. And usually she has her same seat on the train. And usually people don't really sit around her because they find her either odd, peculiar, or just a little bit fierce. They all have certain type of perceived notions about who she is. But one day, a person who ends up sitting across from her has an episode where he ends up almost choking. And from there, the young lady sitting next to him tries to kind of pat him on the back and help. But Iona stands up and says, "Is there a doctor on the train?" A guy's like, "I'm a nurse." And he comes and helps. And from there, kind of a friendship bonds between their group. Because Iona starts to get into their business a little bit, tries to make a little bit of more personable connections. And they become a sort of train family. So it just goes into just like the friendship dynamics of each of them, what they're all grappling with in their personal lives, and ultimately, like I said, the bond that is created from just this one encounter that they've been commuting. All of them are aware of each other. They've been commuting on the same train for years and have never struck up a conversation or a friendship. So it was a really cute story. I think overall, I just really enjoyed just learning about each of the characters, kind of having, because you kind of perceive people and look at them and say, hey, you know, this person might do this, how you have those created stories in your head, and how that was something the characters all faced, and how those things were broke down as they got to know each other. I enjoyed that process of it. I said it had kind of like a reading list vibe, where it just had like these odd, you know, connections that wouldn't normally happen, but something, you know, brought them together. I thought that was really cute, or added to the cuteness about it, because I liked reading lists. Maybe that's why I was recommending. I don't know. Other than that, I'm trying to think of what I didn't like. It was some things I didn't like. I just can't recall right now. But I think overall it was an enjoyable read. So,
okay.
Boom.
Okay. Next on my list is Wrong Place, Wrong Time by
that's what I'm currently reading.
Gillian
I'm almost
McAllister.
done with.
Okay. Gillian McAllister. So it's basically about a lady, and I don't know, I feel like all their names were kind of like regular, like Michaels and Sean's and stuff like that.
Her name is,
I forget their names.
Jen.
Something with, I knew it was a J. I was gonna say Judy. But okay, so Jen, she wakes up one day, regular day. Her and her son and husband, they're either like going somewhere or coming back from somewhere. Long story short, a man is walking up to their house, and her son, her 17-year-old son, he's either 17 or 18, shoots and kills this man, y'all.
Stabs.
Oh, not me making up a shooting.
Right.
She stabbed. That's even worse.
Right.
He stabs this man, and they are just like totally. His parents are totally taken aback. Jen is taken aback. She's like, "What is going on? Why would you do that?" Like, cops come and take him off, and her world is just crumbling because her 17-year-old son has killed this man that they don't know who he is, like what this is all about. So she goes through, and this happens on like the first couple pages, and she goes through the motions, goes home that night, goes to sleep, wakes up, child, it's the day before yesterday. And she's just so confused as to what is going on. So basically, it's a story about how she has to basically keep going back in time to possibly figure out like why this stabbing has taken place.
Stuck on this
why I know, I feel like he shot him. To see like why her son stabs this man and kills this man, and basically goes into this whole like history of like, you know, some secrets and family stuff that she didn't know about, and that she's discovering about, like, you know, the life that she's lived, and she's going back and finding different moments where she should have paid attention to or whatever, and kind of like, you know, so she can basically stop the shooting from happening to save her son. Not stabbing from happening to save her son. So I really liked the book. I thought it was a pretty interesting plot. At first I didn't know where it was going. When it kept going back in time, I was just like, what is going on? Like, but after a while I was invested and interested to see like what you know, what was happening with her son, her husband, like what they got going on. So the only thing I think I disliked about it, I felt like none of all of the characters, even with her love for her son, like, because that's ultimately what the story is about, like, you know, her like just having this ultimate love for her son and like trying to save him or whatever. I just felt like none of the characters were super warm. Like, they all felt kind of far away from me, and not like in a bad way necessarily, but just I don't know how to explain it. Like, they just
understanding that bond may have helped understand.
Yeah, but they didn't seem that close knit.
Yeah,
you know, like,
but she kept saying they were.
Yeah, it wasn't expressed in the story that they were such like a close knit family. I mean, you know, some families aren't that. I mean, maybe that's the whole point. But I just didn't kind of understand that. But overall, I enjoyed the story. I thought it was cute. It was a good read.
I'm enjoying it. I'm almost done. I just don't like. Oh, I just don't quite understand like the concept of her going backwards. Like, I wish there was an explanation as to why that happened. Unless it does.
I think it does explain it a little bit later.
Ooh,
it may not be like what you wanted to explain about, but it do like say it.
Okay, well, cool. All right. So the next book I read was A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Yeah, look at me. Bam. by Holly Jackson. So this was one that I had seen everywhere, just went ahead and picked it up and thought it would be a good, interim into or introduction and segue into Spooky Month. And so it focuses on a high schooler named Pippa. Pippa, her last name is hyphenated. They kept saying it and I can't remember. But Pippa, she's a high school senior and she's completing her final project. They have kind of like a thesis type deal where they have to do this big project that kind of spans the semester. And she chooses to investigate or re-investigate this murder that happened in her town. But she's trying to make it school. Like she's trying to approach it from a perspective of social media influence on murder investigations. So the murder itself, allegedly one of a former high school peer, he was a little bit older, allegedly killed the popular girl, his girlfriend at the time, but her body was never discovered. And a few days later, he sends a cryptic text to his dad, kind of confessing to the murder, and he himself is found dead in the woods, seemingly, committing suicide. So a lot of triggering things I said, I'm sorry. But that's the premise of the story. And so from there, though, Pippa kind of reevaluates some of the evidence that was presented. She goes and kind of talks to people, knocks on doors who have close relationships with the parties involved, and ultimately along her path discovers some things that may need a second look. And as she gets a little bit closer to what actually happened, her herself is threatened, and it makes her question, like, is she getting too close to the answers, or is there something more at play going on here? So I thought overall it was okay. I really enjoyed the Nancy Drew aspect of, hey, I'm gonna solve this. I'm knocking on doors, taking down names. So it's very kind of like that, and then it was like Nancy Drew with Scooby-Doo because it had a whole bunch of red herrings in there where you're like, oh, could it be this person? I like the journey that it took you on because you actually were kind of in the thick of it. It was presented in a way where she was like capstone log, that was the name of her project, and it was like her log for what she was doing or who she talked to. They had the transcripts that she had access to, so it was really a great presentation, especially through the Audible version. So I really enjoyed that. And then as she's going through trying to figure stuff out, you're also trying to piece things together. So that was really cool. The thing I didn't like about it was a little too long. I felt like it was a little too long for what it was, as well as because it was so implausible, that kind of took you out of the book. It felt a little cookie cutter, like, oh, I'm knocking on this drug dealer's door and he's not going to say nothing. He's like, fine, come in. And it's like, what? She's like, I have pictures of this. Fine, let's talk about it. That doesn't happen.
Right.
What? So I just felt like she just kept putting herself in danger. Like, and nothing happened to her. Well, stuff happens, eventually, but still nothing really happened to her, per se. And just who it ultimately ends up being, it just kind of is funky. That part about it, I'm just like, I don't know. It just pulled me out a little bit. But overall, it was a solid read. I'd say you can enjoy it. But if you're looking for like a hearty book, no, that's not it.
Okay, so next on my list is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So this is the newest one from Taylor Jenkins Reid. Y'all know, we know and love her. Okay, Carrie Soto's back. Carrie Soto is a retired tennis player. She won all the awards. By the time she retired, she was literally the best. She was basically Serena Williams. Yeah, so
No, she wasn't.
right. So Carrie Soto, she's retired. She goes to watch the US Open, and she's watching somebody Chan. I forget. Nikki Chan is like the newest. She's been retired 6 years. Soto has been retired for 6 years. She goes to the US Open to watch Nikki Chan compete, and she just gets this realization like, this girl just broke my record. I need to come back and beat her, and come back and steal the crown back, basically. You know how athletes be. They just so competitive. They just can't let it go. So Carrie and her dad, who has been like her coach all along, set out to basically get back out there and like win, I guess Wimbledon, whatever the tennis
elite.
Yeah, is so she wants to break her records again, and it basically goes through the journey of her
Got your little star and rating.
She basically goes through the journey of like, you know, like getting back in shape and getting back out there, and then people doubting her because, you know, she's like 31, but I guess that's old in the tennis world. She's like 31 or 32, and they're saying like, girl, hang it up, like you cannot do this. And she was known to be like a bitch or whatever, like just all you care about winning and not being very warm. So of course the misogynists have things to say about that, and you know, just basically her trying to fight through all that and become number one again. And it kind of goes back to like how she became number one, and then fast forward to, you know, present time, and then her journey from there. So with Taylor Jenkins Reid, I feel like she loves a period piece. Like she loves like a good. This was like in the 90s, from the 90s.
Yeah, she's becoming kind of like a period historical fiction.
And it's like, but it's not like way back in the day. She stays in kind of between like this. I feel like the 70s. Well, Seven Husbands was like 50s or something, right? Like
it was like 50s, and then Beach, Malibu, whatever.
That was like the 80s.
That was like the 80s, 70s, 80s, yeah.
And so this is like the 90s. So I enjoy that. I think she does it well. I feel like when I was reading it, she does her research. Like, I feel like this is how a tennis player, like, they are, like, I really feel like Taylor Jenkins Reid, she does her research and she knows, like, how to build the backstories for these characters. One thing I really did like, she did like kind of like a callback to Malibu Rising. Have you read that?
Yeah. That's why I said Malibu Beach, but Malibu Rising, that's the name of the book.
But yeah, she does a callback, and I'm not gonna say, because if you're gonna read it, then it's not like a spoiler anything.
Did she do a callback in Malibu Rising?
I don't know, but she definitely. So Carrie Soto was in Malibu Rising. I'm gonna say that, but you'll discover like
she was at the party.
No, she had like a small little part, but you'll get it once you start reading. You're like, ooh, but it's cute, like how she kind of like threw that in there, and didn't make it like a big part of the story, but it was still like in there. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. She can connect her stories, and she mentioned Daisy Jones in this too. Like,
I was gonna say that's another one that was like 70s. You know, I could see her, or it would have been cute in Malibu Rising. She's like, yeah, we played Daisy Jones.
Yeah, and this one she was kind of like, oh, you know, I'm reading I'm watching the documentary about Daisy Jones in the 60s, something like that.
Okay,
so yeah, that was really cute. I thought that was really cute how she like kind of connected all her books. So it was cool. It was a good story. Like I said, I feel like Taylor Jenkins Reid does her research, and you really feel like she, you know, the characters are realistic in that sense. Only thing I didn't like, let me see, I can't read my own handwriting.
I was gonna say I can't read it either, but I never can.
I feel like this book, if I had to, so I think I read another one of hers, but I don't really count that one, the Another Day, Another Life, or something like that.
In Another Life.
Yeah, but out of Seven Husbands,
why you don't count that one?
because I can't remember what it's about.
Oh, okay.
I know when I read the synopsis I will, but out of Seven Husbands, Malibu, and this one, I feel like this is like at the bottom, and not because it's not good, it didn't take me like the other two did, and I like Seven Husbands. And Daisy Jones,
you didn't finish it.
I didn't finish it, but I kind of did. It was yeah. This is above Daisy. No, I don't know. I'll let y'all be the judge of that. But yeah, so it wasn't her best, but it was still good. I feel like the love story aspect, and it's probably because I've been reading a lot of romance, it wasn't strong enough here for me, but it was still cute. It was still in there, but it wasn't like, which is fine, because everybody's story doesn't, like, love doesn't define your life or whatever. Mm. But for some people it does. Okay. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. It was cute.
Okay. I'll read it eventually.
Yeah.
All right. So the last book I finished completely is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. So this is a book I did literally see everywhere. I don't know how Asia missed it, but I saw this book everywhere.
I thought you told me about it, but I forgot to put it on hold. But it's on hold now for several months.
You should have. If you put it on hold when I told you to put it on hold, you probably would have had 2 more months.
You told me to.
I did. I will go through our text and see if I sent her a screenshot. And if I did, y'all, I told her to put it on hold. But okay, like I said, I've seen this everywhere. And if you haven't, then good, because I've seen it everywhere. This is probably the most difficult story for me to explain, but it's not even that challenging to explain. So, okay, it focuses in on these 2 characters, Sadie and Sam. They are both both eventually become game designers, but they have a childhood friendship where Sam is like a sickly child. He's not a sickly child. He was in a bad car accident and pretty much is in a hospital. Sadie's older sister, she's battling leukemia or I believe so. So she visits the hospital a lot. So they meet when they are like 11, 12 in the game room of the hospital. And from there, just their personalities instantly click. He ends up opening up in ways that he hadn't before the car crash and whatnot. And so from there, they spark a friendship that gets strained over the years. And so you're in the beginning events of the story, it's like them encountering each other for the first time. And you kind of go back throughout the book to understand like the progression of their friendship. And the book ultimately goes into just where they go together as friends and on this journey as eventually game designers. So I will say overall, I hope I explained that well, because there's a lot of aspects to this story that you can include in the synopsis, but I'm not even sure like if it was in the synopsis. I would say it was a very complex story in that these were complicated characters. I think she did a great job of developing their who they were, how they became who they were a bit, while it was also still a little bit lacking though. So I'll say, because neither one of them turned out to be really likable people, but that's not really the point of the story. It's about how they are together or what magic they create together in this kind of tailspin of a relationship that they aren't really communicating well. So it's like they create good work, but they themselves are complex people that are struggling to connect some type of way. And so I'll say that, just be aware, like if you're looking for a great character development where you really understand them, I'll say that's kind of lacking, but you understand their friendship and how it grows and how it came to be. It was really strong storytelling. I like because it was a game type situation, that there was chapters where you were actually like pulled into a game environment, but it was still telling the story of a particular character. I'll give, for example, non-player characters are part of games, and there was a chapter dedicated to a non-player character it was focused on that person and who they were to them. Them themselves were quote unquote the players, and this other person was a non-player character, but he had a huge impact on their overall career and growth. So I liked those aspects added to the story. It was a beautifully told story. Like, it was a really well thought out, well written story. It was just, like I said, certain things missing for me. I just wish the characters were a touch more likable. They were really rude to each other at times, but I got it, if that makes sense. Like, I understood it. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, oh, I don't like them and I don't want to read about them. It was like, I don't like them, but this is the point of the story. So I hope that makes sense. It was a complicated story to me. Not in that it was hard to follow. It's just, it had a lot of meaning that I think you have to be a reader to really understand, like, what was the intent of the author's, presentation. It was art. It was really like art.
Okay, I better like it. I'm just playing.
You might not. That's what I said. I don't think she'll like it because she's gonna be like, Kristen, these characters are horrible.
I'm gonna read it.
But I don't think that's the point at all.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Last on my list is Us Against You by Fredrik Backman. The #2 book in the Beartown series or whatever. So, boom. Only reason I read this because I like Fredrik Backman, but because I wanted to read. Kristen said he got a new one coming out, The Winners. I think it comes out today or tomorrow or yesterday.
I got it available on my pre-order, so it's out.
And I read Beartown, enjoyed it, and I hadn't read this. So yeah. Okay, so this basically revisits Beartown after the whole tragedy between the star hockey player in the town. He raped the hockey player's general manager's daughter. He raped her daughter at a party. Oh yeah. If y'all ain't read Beartown by now, but I feel like isn't that the premise of the story?
Yeah,
anyway,
but it's not. I don't think it's in the synopsis.
Okay, so that's what
sexual assault.
Oh, sexual assault.
Okay. Yeah, he don't.
Essay, sorry y'all. So trigger. But yeah, so this is like the town and its aftermath, like what's kind of happening after all that has happened in the new season, and basically it's a whole bunch of like, how are we gonna save the club? Because the club is up for like, it's about to go under, and then there's politics being involved, and relationships are being tested because of it, and then the kids are growing up and realizing things. Benji got his life going on. Ahmed he's becoming the star that everybody didn't think he would be, but now he's like that guy. And it just follows all the characters and like their growth and what they've been up to and what they're getting up to after everything happened in the town, and like where different people's loyalties lie. It was good. I enjoyed it. I feel like I like the first ones because I enjoyed this because I wanted to see like what was happening with the characters. I'm always like, oh, I wonder what they're doing now, like type thing. So it was cool to see that and see like how everybody coped afterwards. I enjoyed it. Fredrik Backman has a way of making you laugh and cry all in the same book, and he definitely did that with this one. What I will say is though, for this, what I disliked. There were so many moments of like,
why is this here?
Not even why is this here. It was too many moments of, how do I say it? Like too many heartfelt, like somebody would say something to be like, oh, because you've got to be the one to make it out. And da-da-da-da. Like it was just
too many monologue moments.
But like the one-liner monologues was just like, okay, like this is like it was so many. I was just like, it's getting a little corny.
It's getting a little intentional. Yeah, you know what you're doing.
It was too many moments of that. Like here and there, yes. Like we expect that from Fredrik Backman at this point, and I do enjoy it because it's still heartfelt. Like I still felt like it was. Still a heartfelt story, and it wasn't like too cringy, but it was also like sometimes I was like, okay, now like get to it, like. But yeah, other than that, I enjoyed it. I told Kristen, I don't know, I'm gonna read the winners because I'm gonna read it, but I just feel like where else could they go with the story from here? Like unless they just because they kept in this series he has a way of foreshadowing like in 10 years time when Ahmed is doing an interview with the NHL.
Yeah, he does that.
And when Maya's on stage singing a song. So I'm like, well, maybe it'll just go into like their lives afterwards and what they grow into be, which I'm down for that. I want to see. I would enjoy that. Yeah.
But I'm glad you said foreshadowing because that's tomorrow. I wrote that down.
That's what it was.
It had moments of foreshadowing when Sam sits down for his interview. He will tell them.
Yeah, it was so much of that in there, and like I
forgot that was in there too.
It's cool. It's like, okay, we get it. He's gonna be the professional.
He's got things he's gonna do.
Yeah, like okay. But other than that, I enjoyed it. Fredrik Backman is always a key. He's always a good time. So yeah,
cool.
So that is it for our September reads.
And now spooky month reads.
Yes, no spooky month reads, but I'll look for some after this.
You ain't drinking your wine.
How dare you? I am.
You have a full cup.
I only ate a banana.
Okay. I had a Starbucks Danish. So, all right. So October is spooky month. It's also the best month of the year. I tell y'all because it's, your girl's going to get a year older or a year younger, depending on who I tell. But yeah, so I tried to pick more spooky, suspenseful type books. And I found myself picking a whole bunch of books on my list. So if I don't get to half of these books, I just remember one that I meant to add to my list that I might add. I don't know. If I don't get to some of these, y'all, it's a struggle. It's been a struggle. So I guess I'll start because I feel like I have the most. How many you have? You don't know?
I have 3 and 3 possibles, but none of them, only one is like kind of spooky.
Okay. So, this one, I'm just going to mention it because I don't even know if I'm going to touch it, but I just want to say it, and I feel like if I say it, I'll touch it. And that's Fairy Tale by Stephen King. So,
we haven't read a Stephen King in a minute.
Right, we only read one too. And so, I saw this, I think this is one of his recently released books, and I saw it as on a whole bunch of lists for October, autumn reads, whatever. And yeah, I don't know what it's about, but Stephen King is like the king of horror, whatever type vibes. So I figure a good one to add during October is one of his books. So, and I just wrote that down, like, because I saved it. It's on script, so you should read it too.
Okay.
But I probably won't even touch it.
We'll see. Stephen King.
Okay.
Stephen King new. Okay, so number one I'm gonna read because I'm almost finished it, low-key, is People Person by Candice Carty-Williams, the author of Queenie, that Kristen hated. She didn't like that book, but you know I loved Queenie. So yeah, People Person. So far it's about like a bunch of siblings who, like, they all said it's 5 of them and they share the same dad, so they didn't really grow up together. And then one of them has like this problem that she needs solved, and she calls on her siblings, and it kind of like goes from there about their relationship. It's very different from Queenie from what I'm like seeing so far. So yeah, I'm gonna read that for this month and hopefully get through it soon.
Okay. Well, a non-spooky I'm gonna try to do is Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. We just talked about it, so I'm gonna go ahead and press play on it.
Okay, so next one on my list, I'm just gonna mention this because I'm gonna try to finish Verity. I'm like halfway through. I'm actually reading the book, y'all. I'm not listening to it. I'm reading it. So it's taking me forever.
Have you finished any of the books you actually read or have read?
I will finish them audio most of the time. But I'm gonna finish this one because I bought it from Target. I had like a, I don't know, like a little...
I didn't even start. The book I started like visually was 7 Days in June. I read the first like chapter. And I couldn't.
And you couldn't. Yeah, I think 7 Days. I bought that book too, and I read like some of it.
What have we become?
I just can't. I don't have the time. I have the capacity, I think, but I don't have time. And by the time I sit down to read, it's time for bed, and I'll be ready to go to bed. So
I'm gonna start back because I used to get in some
like we
pages before bed.
Like. I'll read like a good 3 chapters before bed, but it don't be enough because I only do it like twice a week. So. Like, yeah, so
I got some of the TV shows. I'm about to watch. The Last of Us has a trailer.
What's that?
We'll talk about it.
Okay, so I'm gonna finish Verity, but blah. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, so trying to be spooky, or suspense. Our spooky is suspense. Because we don't do horror.
Stephen King is kind of horror though.
Yeah, that's why I added it.
Yeah,
but I don't even know if that book is a horror technically. He dabbles in other like suspense type whatever. So I saw this on a suspense thriller list, and that's If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I don't even know what it's about, but I like the title. Sounds cute. I think something happens, and it's like, if these people did it, here's how they would do. I just made that up. It was something like that, but I remember reading the synopsis and I was like, this sounds interesting. So add it.
Okay, so yeah, I'll write it down. Okay, so next on my list, it's not spooky, but I need to read this.
What is it?
Broken Harbor by Tana French. Because I bought it because I think it was the next. Yeah, it's still suspense, so it'll probably get me in there. And I want to read Tana French so bad again. Like, I just really need
I got one more book in the Dublin Murder series, and
I have 2 more, I think, and this is one.
Let me write that down.
Yeah, so that, and I have the physical book. I bought it a while ago from one of the book sales that we went to. So yeah, I just need to go ahead and knock that out.
Okay. Again on the suspense thriller train, I'm gonna read The It Girl by Ruth Ware. We haven't read a Ruth Ware in a minute. I think
that's on my list too, so I'll just include it with
you. I think the last one we read was about a year and some change ago, which was The Death of Mrs. Westaway.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. We need an update with Ruth Ware because she's had a couple since
that come out. Yeah.
Okay, so that's me.
Okay, so yeah, same. And then the last one that's kind of like, well, I plan on reading The Winners and also Book Lovers by Emily Henry. But they are both several months out, so I don't know if I'll get them in time for October. But sometimes it comes up quick. So
did you check Scribd, whatever it is.
They didn't. I don't think they have Book Lovers, and I know The Winners is not on there yet. So yeah, but yeah, those two might get that one.
They got Fredrik Backman books, so
yeah,
they might get it. All right. Well, the last one, if I have time, is A Flicker in the Dark by Stacy Willingham. Again, just looked at a list of books and I said, check. Is it available? Okay, go ahead and add to the list. Yeah, if not, I mean, I might go back to some books that I wasn't able to read last month, which was like Honey and Spice. I meant to finish that. And Akata Woman, I meant to finish that. But other than Akata Woman would be because it's a witch. But we'll see. But that's 5 books. I should be good with that, but we'll see. All right. So let us know.
Ooh, yeah.
Let us know the things. Let us know any thoughts on any of the books we mentioned here today. Let us know if you want any reviews on any of the books we mentioned.
Yes, for sure.
Like this video, subscribe, ring the bell, and we'll be back next time. Bye.